Here's the truth. No one tells you. A man can be present in your life, talk to you daily, even say all the right things and still not truly value you. Just because someone shows up doesn't mean they see you. You've been giving your time, your heart, and maybe even the benefit of the doubt, but something deep down still whispers, do I really matter to him? Or am I just convenient right now? In this video, we're going to unravel that mystery, because being liked is easy, but being valued, that's something different. That shows up in ways that aren't always loud or obvious, but they're real and they're powerful. I'm going to share 6 unshakable signs that you're not just another person in his life, but someone he deeply respects, cherishes, and sees a future with. These aren't generic "he texts you first" tips. These are emotional truths that reflect how men act when they've truly made space for you in their heart. And if he's not doing these things, that's not your cue to shrink. That's your cue to rise and reassess, because you deserve more than someone who's just half sure about you. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll either feel deeply affirmed or powerfully free. Either way, you win. Let's get into the first sign. When a man truly values you, you'll notice it in the quiet shifts he makes, not to impress you, but to support you. One of the most powerful signs that you're deeply important to him is that he consistently and sometimes even instinctively prioritizes your needs. Not just when it's convenient, not just when it benefits him, but even when it requires effort, sacrifice, or discomfort on his part. This doesn't mean he drops everything in his life or abandons his responsibilities. That's not love, that's codependence. Prioritizing your needs means he considers you in his decisions, both big and small. He checks in before making plans. He listens when you speak, not just to respond, but to understand. He remembers the things that matter to you, even if they're things that don't matter to him directly. You'll notice it in the way he adjusts. If he knows you've had a rough day, he doesn't brush it off. He makes space for your emotions. If you mention you don't like something, he doesn't mock or challenge it. He takes it seriously. And when there's a conflict between what he wants and what you need, he doesn't just push for his way. He looks for compromise, for harmony, because your comfort and peace genuinely matter to him. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. A man who values you isn't trying to win points. He's invested in your well-being, because when you're okay, he feels okay too. That emotional attunement is rare, and it doesn't come from shallow attraction. It comes from connection, from seeing you not as a role to fill, but as a whole human being whose happiness is tied to his own. And here's the key. When a man truly values you, you won't have to fight to be prioritized. You won't constantly have to remind him of your worth. He'll already know, and he'll show it. Through actions, through consistency, through a calm but unwavering respect for your needs. Not as obstacles, but as opportunities to love you better. That's how you'll know you're not a convenience, you're a commitment. Let's move to sign 2. You can always tell how much someone values you by how they listen. Not just when things are calm and easy, but especially when emotions are involved. When a man truly sees you as important and valuable, he listens to you with full presence. And that's not the same as just being silent while you speak. It's about engagement, attention, and emotional availability. A man who's fully present when you talk doesn't glance at his phone mid-conversation. He doesn't tune out, wait for his turn to speak, or dismiss your feelings with quick solutions or surface-level advice. Instead, you'll notice him truly absorbing what you're saying, tracking your words, your tone, and even what you're not saying out loud. This kind of listening is an act of love, because presence isn't passive, it requires effort. When someone is really listening, they're putting aside their own distractions, their ego, their impulse to fix, and they're choosing instead to enter your world for a moment. That's not easy for everyone to do. But when a man values you, he wants to understand you, even if it challenges his perspective. You might notice it in the way he asks questions, thoughtful ones that show he's genuinely trying to see things from your view. He remembers the details you share, even the ones you only mentioned once. You don't have to repeat yourself constantly, and you don't feel like you're talking to a wall. You feel heard, and more than that, you feel held in that space. It's also important to look at how he listens during disagreement. When emotions rise, some people shut down, get defensive, or try to dominate the conversation. But someone who truly values you doesn't listen to win. He listens to understand. He doesn't use your words against you later. He doesn't twist them, dismiss them, or weaponize your vulnerability. He respects the courage it takes to express your truth, and he responds with emotional maturity. This kind of listening builds trust. It builds safety, and it tells you loud and clear, you matter. Because when someone is fully present with you, they're saying, right now, nothing else is more important than what you're feeling and what you need me to hear. It's not always about grand gestures or poetic declarations. Sometimes it's the quiet moments, when you're venting after a long day, when you're opening up about something painful, when you're just sharing a random thought, and he leans in, locks eyes, and listens without distraction. That's when you know you're not just background noise in someone's life. You are center stage in someone's heart, and presence. It's not something you can fake for long. If he consistently shows up with his attention, his empathy, and his ears open, that's not just respect, that's love. Now let's talk about sign 3. The future he includes you in. One of the most telling signs that you're not just important to him right now, but that you truly hold weight in his life is when he starts weaving you into his future. And not in a vague, passing kind of way, but in real, intentional, specific ways that show he's not just thinking about tomorrow, he's thinking about you in his tomorrow. When a man sees you as valuable, he doesn't compartmentalize you into now and keep his future separate. He begins to make decisions with you in mind. You'll notice he starts using phrases like we instead of just I. He'll talk about trips he wants to take with you, goals he's working toward that include you, or even something as simple as when we have our own place, or that's where we should go next summer. And the beautiful part, he doesn't just say these things for the sake of saying them, he starts aligning his actions with them. Whether it's saving money, introducing you to his close circle, or asking for your thoughts on major decisions, you'll feel that shift. You're not just part of his present experience. You're becoming part of his long-term vision. You'll also notice that he seeks your opinion more and more. He doesn't make future plans independently and then ask you to fit into them later. Instead, he collaborates. He treats your voice, your dreams, your preferences as essential, not optional. Because in his eyes, the future wouldn't feel right without you in it. But here's something important to note. Including you in his future doesn't always mean grand gestures or big declarations. It often shows up in the small, subtle ways. Maybe he's apartment hunting and wants your input. Maybe he's planning to go back to school or change careers, and he wants to make sure it doesn't disrupt the bond you share. Maybe he talks about holidays, family gatherings, or life goals, and you're naturally in the picture. These are the moments that matter. Because a man can say I love you all day long. But if he's making plans that clearly don't include you, that's a red flag. True emotional investment reveals itself in alignment, where his words, actions, and long-term thinking all match. And the most important part, you'll never feel like you have to beg for a place in his life. You won't have to push to be acknowledged in his future. When a man values you deeply, your place beside him becomes non-negotiable. Because in his heart, there's no future worth building if you're not part of it. Let's keep going. Sign 4 is where things get even more real. How he shows up when life gets hard. When life gets hard, people reveal who they really are. And more importantly, what you truly mean to them. It's easy to be around when everything's light, fun, and going well. But when things fall apart, when you're anxious, overwhelmed, sick, grieving, or struggling, that's when the truth shows up. And the man who genuinely values you, he shows up too. Not because he has all the answers, not because he knows exactly what to say, but because disappearing is not even an option for him. When you're hurting, he doesn't ghost. He leans in. When you're silent, he doesn't ignore it. He checks in. He notices the shifts in your tone, your energy, your routine, and instead of pulling back, he becomes even more present. This kind of support isn't performative. He's not doing it to look like a hero. He's not waiting for credit or praise. He's there because he genuinely can't stand the thought of you suffering alone. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it costs him time or energy, he stays. That's what real emotional presence looks like. Showing up especially when things are messy. He offers reassurance when you doubt yourself. He becomes a safe space when everything else feels uncertain. He doesn't try to fix you. he walks with you. And even if he doesn't fully understand what you're going through, he tries. That effort, that consistent willingness to stand by you in your hardest moments, says more than 1,000 romantic gestures ever could. And here's the thing, in tough times, people don't have to do much to show you their truth. If someone fades, if they become too busy when you're at your lowest, believe them. But when a man values you, your pain becomes something he carries with you, not to save you, but to support you. That's what partnership looks like. Not perfection, but presence. Sometimes it's a simple late-night phone call just to hear you cry. Other times it's bringing you food when you're too drained to cook. Maybe it's holding your hand in silence, because there's nothing to say, but everything to feel. These are the quiet ways he says, you don't have to go through this alone. Real connection doesn't flinch at discomfort. It doesn't retreat when things aren't pretty. It leans in when it's hardest. So if he shows up when you're most vulnerable, not to fix you, but to be with you, then you can be sure of this. You're not just a chapter in his story, you're part of the core. And he's willing to weather the storm with you, not just enjoy the sunshine. Next, let's talk about sign 5, the small, often overlooked way he proves you matter every single day. It's not always the big romantic gestures that tell you how much someone values you. Sometimes it's the quietest moments, the small, almost forgettable details that reveal everything. When a man truly sees you, when you hold real importance in his heart, he'll remember the little things. And not because he's trying to impress you, but because he's paying attention. He remembers how you take your coffee, that your favorite comfort food isn't something fancy. It's the exact way your mom used to make soup when you were sick. He notices which songs make you smile, which ones make you quiet. He doesn't just hear you when you talk. He stores what you say, because to him, it matters. You matter. It could be a random fact you mentioned once about your childhood, a story you told about your bad day, the way you get overwhelmed in crowds, or the fact that you hate being interrupted mid-sentence. These aren't bullet points on a checklist. These are pieces of you. And a man who values you doesn't just hear them, he keeps them close, because they help him understand how to love you better. What's powerful is that he doesn't wait for a special occasion to show that he remembers. He'll bring you your favorite snack just because. He'll send you a message referencing an inside joke you forgot you even shared. He'll play that one song you said, reminds you of your dad, or ask how you're doing on the anniversary of something hard, even if you never mentioned it again. These details might seem small, but they carry emotional weight. They say, I was listening, even when you didn't think I was. They say, I care about the parts of you that others overlook. That kind of attention is rare, and it's never accidental. You don't remember what's unimportant. You remember what you value. And when a man holds on to these little pieces of you, he's not just showing love, he's showing respect. He's letting you know that your inner world is safe with him, that your quirks, your preferences, your emotional rhythms, they're not annoying or forgettable. They're beautiful to him. He doesn't need everything to be dramatic or intense to feel close to you. Sometimes it's in the quiet consistency that he expresses his deepest affection. So if he remembers the little things, the details that matter only to you, then believe this, he's paying attention not because he has to, but because he wants to. And that's one of the clearest signs that you're not just someone he likes, you're someone he's deeply, genuinely connected to. Next, let's talk about a powerful protective behavior that often goes unnoticed, and it's a major indicator of your importance in his life. One of the most underrated yet powerful signs that you're truly important to a man is this: he protects your energy and peace. Not in a loud, dramatic, over-the-top kind of way, but in quiet, consistent choices that show he's not just thinking about how to keep you happy, but how to keep you safe emotionally. When a man values you, he becomes intentional about what he brings into your space. He doesn't let chaos follow him into your relationship. He avoids unnecessary drama, doesn't pick fights for attention, and he never plays emotional games. Why? Because he understands that your peace of mind is priceless, and he treats it with the same care he'd give to something sacred. You'll feel this in the way he handles conflict. He doesn't explode when things get tough. He doesn't use his words to cut you or win an argument. He speaks with calm, with purpose, and with respect, because he knows protecting your peace means protecting how he communicates, especially when tensions are high. That's emotional maturity, and it speaks volumes about how much you matter to him. You'll also notice how he shields you from unnecessary stress. Maybe he keeps certain things off your plate when he knows you're already overwhelmed. Maybe he stands up for you when someone crosses a boundary, even if it's uncomfortable for him. Maybe he gently removes you from situations or people that drain you, not because he's controlling, but because he's protective of your emotional well-being. He encourages rest. He respects your need for space. He celebrates your boundaries instead of taking them personally. And he never makes you feel guilty for choosing yourself, because a man who values your peace isn't threatened by it. In fact, he supports it. He wants to be the calm, not the chaos. Here's the key. When someone truly values you, they don't just care about how you make them feel. They care about how they make you feel. They reflect on their presence in your life and ask themselves, am I adding to her or draining her? That self-awareness is rare, and it's a clear sign of deep emotional investment. Because anyone can say, I love you. Anyone can buy gifts or post cute photos. But the man who actively works to protect your peace is saying, I love you enough to not harm your spirit. That's next level love. That's presence with purpose. So if he checks in with you emotionally, backs off when you need space, shields you from chaos, speaks to you with care, and becomes a source of calm in your life, believe this, you are not just important to him, you're irreplaceable. Let's wrap this up with some final thoughts, and the truth bomb you didn't know you needed. Because what you do next matters just as much as what you've learned. Let's pause for a moment and take this in. Because if you've made it this far, something in your heart is searching for clarity. Maybe you've been wondering if you're overthinking things. Maybe you've been second-guessing your worth based on someone else's inconsistent actions. Or maybe, deep down, you already know the answer, and you just needed the confirmation. So here's the truth bomb. The one most people avoid saying out loud. If you're constantly questioning your value in someone's life, it's often because they're not doing enough to make it clear. The right man will never leave you stuck in confusion. When a man truly values you, his actions create certainty, not anxiety. He doesn't keep you in emotional limbo. He doesn't feed you crumbs and call it love. He makes sure you feel safe, seen, and chosen. Consistently. Love shouldn't feel like guessing. Respect shouldn't feel like chasing. And emotional security shouldn't feel like a luxury. Yes, relationships take effort. Yes, people have flaws. But someone who genuinely values you will want to show up. They won't need to be convinced. And even when they don't get it perfectly, they'll take accountability. They'll learn and they'll try. Because losing your trust, your presence, or your peace would feel like losing something rare. So if you've been sitting in a space where you're always hoping he'll step up, hoping he'll notice you, hoping he'll finally treat you like you matter, ask yourself this: why am I tolerating uncertainty when I deserve intentional love? And maybe the most important question of all, if you weren't the one constantly holding it all together, would the relationship even survive? Because the man who truly sees you, who values you at your core, won't let you carry it alone. He'll meet you halfway. He'll remember the details. He'll listen. He'll show up. He'll protect your peace. And most of all, he'll include you, not just in his words, but in his life. You don't need to beg for that kind of love. You don't need to prove you're worthy of it. You already are. So whether this video brought you comfort, clarity, or the courage to walk away from something that no longer serves you, know this: your value was never up for debate. The right person will recognize it and rise to meet it. Now take what you've learned and move forward with self-respect, not self-doubt. Because when you truly know your worth, you stop entertaining people who don't. You are not hard to love. You're just done settling for half love. If you've watched this entire video and still feel unsure if he truly values you, unsure if the signs apply, or unsure if your gut is telling the truth, that's okay. That confusion you're feeling, it's not weakness. It's your intuition asking you to slow down and pay attention. When someone truly values you, you won't need to decode their behavior every day. Love that's real doesn't leave you in a state of emotional confusion. So if you're constantly trying to connect dots that never fully form a picture, that's not clarity. That's exhaustion. And deep down, you probably know that already. Still, doubt can be loud. And when you care about someone, you want to believe the best. You want to give the benefit of the doubt. But here's the thing. Real love doesn't require you to shrink your needs just to keep the connection. It doesn't require you to constantly lower your standards so someone else can meet the bare minimum. If you're still unsure, take a step back from what he says and look at how you feel around him. Do you feel safe, seen, respected, or are you always on edge, waiting for the next disappointment? Sometimes clarity doesn't come from someone else giving you answers. It comes from giving yourself permission to stop settling for maybe. So what can you do now? Get quiet, get honest. Ask yourself, if nothing changed from this point forward, would I still feel fulfilled? If the answer is no, that's not a red flag, that's a redirection. Trust yourself, take your time, and don't be afraid to walk away from uncertainty in pursuit of peace. The right person won't make you feel like a question mark. They'll feel like a full sentence, clear, confident, and undeniable. You deserve that kind of love, and you're allowed to wait for it.